Welcome to this Facebook Live. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late, but I was running into some technical issues, which you all know can happen. I'm Georgia Schaefer, and I help separated and divorced women move from a shattered life filled with anxiety, I should say, and fear, to one of wholeness, filled with hope and confidence. And so today we're going to talk about the third of the three myths that we face many times when we're going through a divorce. We get stuck. The first week we talked about believing we don't have what it takes to rebuild. The second week we talked about believing that our life is over after divorce. We just can't move on. And this week is probably the one I hear the most, and that is, if I face all these emotional, painful feelings like sadness, anger, guilt, shame, it's going to destroy me. I don't think I'll make it out the other side. Now, if you missed the first two episodes, they're available on my Facebook page. Plus, you can also go to my YouTube channel. So, whether you're here to help somebody else who's going through a divorce or you yourself want to learn, here's some of the things we're going to talk about. So, there's three main points I want you to understand. That this belief that you're not going to make it through is simply not true. So the first reason is that you think the pain is so critical that you're going to numb it because you think it's going to destroy you. So you're going to find every way to cushion the pain, ignore it, stuff it, numb it. And the problem with that is we can find hundreds of ways to numb the pain. We can spend lots of times binging on TV series or watching videos, spending hours on Facebook, Instagram, or Pinterest. We can become shopaholics or workaholics or alcoholics. We can find things to distract us, and even good things like Christian service, if we just do it to keep ourselves busy, to avoid facing the pain. That is not in the long term going to help you to heal. So just take a minute and reflect. How are you numbing your pain if you're trying to avoid the pain after your separation and in divorce? Laura says, I can definitely distract myself for hours on the phone. Yeah, I've been known to do that too. Socializing is another one, just getting out. And again, not giving yourself time to catch your breath. So what you want to do is be proactive. Instead of taking, and trying to numb that pain, you want to look at what can you do about it. You want to press through it. Years ago, my son was in college, and he told me, he had broken up with a girl he just adored. Suddenly, she just ended the relationship. And he was talking about how he's not sure he's going to make it. And as the mom usually does, I wanted to support him. I wanted him to make his way through it. And so one day I took him out for lunch, and I said, Kyle, it's so important that you've worked through that pain and feel all the feelings that come with a broken heart. Because if you don't, it's going to affect every relationship you have from now on. I said, so what you want to do is press through the pain. Now, he was in college at the time. He was a scholarship swimmer, and he rolled his eyes and he said to me, Mom, don't you think as an athlete I know about pressing through the pain? That's the only way I'm going to get faster and stronger is to press through the pain. He said, every athlete knows that. Now, when you're going through a divorce, you probably don't want the goal of becoming faster is not what you're going for, But what about becoming stronger emotionally and physically? Because if you don't, you'll stay stuck where you are. But if you press through the pain, go through it, and grow through it, then you will become stronger. So that's the first thing I want you to remember. The next thing is pay attention to what are you telling yourself? What lies are you believing? Are you telling yourself, if I face the pain, I'm going to start crying and I'll never stop crying again? I've heard that more than once. Well, that mindset takes away the idea that tears are healing. There's been research around the healing power of tears. And when you're crying, you reduce your stress. It actually elevates your mood. And one research study showed that it releases the toxins in your body. Now, they're not talking about crying when you cut an onion. They're talking about crying when you go through the grief of something like a divorce. And so one study also showed it releases our feelings. So we're talking about working through those feelings. And tears can be one way of doing that. Now you might be thinking, well, sometimes I try to cry and I just can't. And I've had that experience myself. So sometimes what I do is listen to sad music, watch a sad movie, read a sad novel. And sometimes I start crying for somebody or something else, but then I end up coming back to my own pain. So the second point I want to say is you need to look at what you're telling yourself, and you need to understand the difference between hurtful experiences and harmful experiences. Now you might be thinking, well, let me tell you, divorce is a harmful experience. Well, what I'm talking about here, differentiating, when I'm talking about grieving and facing these feelings, they do hurt. And they are very painful short term. But long term, they are healing. They're not harmful. If I have a throbbing knee and I ignore the pain, if I don't go to a doctor, if I don't rest my knee, that is hurting, by the way, long term, that's going to be harmful because there might be something really wrong with my knee. So I got to get the help I need. And so getting back to the emotions of divorce, they hurt, but that long term, they're not helpful. Laura says I can go through weeks of without crying, and then I spend a week only crying. I find that too. There's periods where you can avoid the pain. It's like on the back burner. And then all of a sudden it seems like you can't stop crying. But again, that healing or crying can be a very healing thing. So we're talking about recognize how you try to numb the pain that comes with a divorce. Understand, excuse me, let me get something to drink here. Understand the difference between what's hurtful as far as facing our emotions and what's long-term harmful, because you won't eventually heal if you don't go through and do the work of grieving. And then the third step is, I started to talk about earlier, you want to recognize what are the lies you're telling yourself. And one of the lies I hear is, if I face the pain, it will destroy me, which is what we're talking about in the video. Well, I want you to reframe this. If you're saying if you face the pain, it's going to destroy you. I want you to reverse this. If you don't face the pain, it will hurt you and harm you. Because all that emotional pressure will just keep building up, and you'll carry it with you, and that at some point you'll just explode, and all those feelings you can't suppress any longer. So instead of saying the pain's going to kill me, think, how it will heal you and be helpful to you. And then the last thing, Laura has pointed the tip, identifying these lies. If I start crying, I'll never stop. If I face the pain, it's going to kill me. And then the fourth point is, I want you to replace. Remember I said at the very beginning how you numb the pain with busyness and all kinds of activities? I want you to replace those activities with something healing. Now, I posted on my Facebook page on February 25th, and you might want to go back and look at it. I talked about how we just so easily figure out ways of numbing the pain, but we don't so quickly understand that how to heal that pain. You know, we're stuck. We haven't been taught. We don't understand. And so I posted on Facebook, if you've learned how not to numb the pain and you've learned to heal from it, share something you have done that has helped you heal. I've gotten over 50 comments of things you can do, and I encourage you to go back to that Facebook comment and post and read what the women said. One person said, get out in nature. If you're a beach girl, go to the beach. If you're a mountain man, go to the mountains. If you like the garden, immerse yourself in the garden. But she was talking about how healing, just being out in God's creation, can be, and it helps us take the focus off of ourselves and our pain onto God and what He's created. Another person said, identify the feeling, whatever it is. Maybe it's shame, maybe it's guilt, maybe it's resentment and bitterness. She said, identify that pain, name it, and then she said, start to work through it, whether you write about it, you talk about it, you journal about it, and then she said, get help. And I thought that was good. Now, help can be defined many ways. Maybe you get help by going to a counselor. Maybe you get help by seeing a grief coach. I do grief coaching. And many times I help support and encourage and help women who are just going through that process, because it is. You do need help many times. Or you can be part of a group, go to a support group where you live, or do an online group like we have Rebuild, which is a small group of women who are separated and divorced. So that was another idea. Another one said she reads scripture. Another one said deep worship of God, reminding herself of the truth, remembering what God did for her in the past and how He can help her go through this again. So there's lots of different things that you can do. And you want to look over that list and think, what would work for you? Do something that you enjoy. Yes, you're going to have times when you're crippled by the pain, but you're going to find out that when you confront it, that pain you want to avoid will force you, or else you're going to run away, or it will force you to draw near to God. Because Jesus said, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. When you're willing to go to Jesus with your pain, and just that pain that's inconsolable, that's the pain that will just bring you to the point you experience His comfort. You will begin to see all the different ways you can lean on Him and trust you to protect you and provide for you through this difficult experience. So these are all different things, but you choose what works for you, because we all have ways that we connect to God in an intimate way. But I want to end with a story of someone who did avoid, the emotional pain. She did try very hard to ignore it and stuff it for years. And when she became part of Rebuild, and when she finally decided, I do need to work through this. I do need to process my emotions. She said something happened that she didn't expect. That when she started to face what she thought was all these negative, horrible emotions that absolutely she shouldn't look at, when she started to feel them, work through them, talk about them, identify that pain, get help to process those, she realized she began to experience more positive emotions, more hope, more peace, more joy. And she said, what I did not realize is when I blocked the emotional pain and what I thought were negative feelings, she said I was also blocking myself from experiencing positive ones. And I tell this story of her experience over and over again. You might have heard me talk about it earlier because it's a perfect example of the very thing you're trying to ignore, you're trying to avoid, is the very thing that will enable you long-term to heal, to move forward one day, not stay stuck in this pit of despair, not stay stuck in all these negative lies you're telling yourself, like if I cry, I'll never stop. If I face the pain, it will destroy me. Now, please understand, people say that all the time. Just last week, one of my clients said, I'm afraid if I go through the pain, I'm not going to come out the other side. I don't think I'll survive it. And I just want you to know many of us have said that. But little by little, taking the action, doing something to replace those negative emotions, little by little, you can move forward and eventually rebuild your life and begin anew. Now, if you yourself are divorced or you know somebody is, and you'd like to become part of a group of women who would support you, encourage you, that you get this pathway. What is the pathway to moving through from this shattered life to one of wholeness and hope and confidence? We're starting in March. Rebuild, and you can find out the dates, the times, the cost if you go to georgiaschaefer.com/rebuild. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at georgia@georgiaschaefer.com, and I'll be glad to answer them for you. But thank you for joining us today. And I look forward to maybe seeing you in one of the groups or share with somebody else that it might be helpful to. And in summary, just take care and be willing to heal rather than be destroyed by the pain that God really wants to use to destroy you.